In this video, I'll be testing this Coleman WeatherMaster 10% tent against rain. It did not rain while I was using this tent, so I had to make do with this water hose, and it looked like this. This is about moderate to heavy rainfall, I think. I did this for an hour and concentrated the rainfall on the front length of the tent. The Rainfly only partially covers the WeatherMaster 10% tent, which is to prevent water from seeping in through the ceiling mesh. All the seams on the Rainfly have been taped, as you can see here. The roof of this tent is curved so water doesn't collect at the top and instead drips down. I had no issues with pooling of water on the roof of this WeatherMaster tent. However, because the Rainfly is quite small, some water will get on the mesh of the windows, especially when there's wind. So it's best to keep these windows closed while it's raining, and especially if it's windy. Thankfully though, there are two of these pretty large angled windows that you can leave open even when it's raining. As you can see here, and at least in my experience, no water got into the tent through these windows. This WeatherMaster 10% tent has bathtub flooring that extends up to about 7.5 inches. However, the seam connecting the dark brown fabric of the tent body to the bathtub flooring has not been seam taped, even though it's an inverted seam, so I noticed that water started leaking into the tent through this seam after about 15 minutes of moderate to heavy rain on the front of the tent. After about 36 minutes of rainfall, here's what the damage looked like. Not great. No water seeped through the bathtub flooring though, and it was still dry after an hour of rainfall. Every single seam in this WeatherMaster 10% tent is an inverted seam, so none of them were seam taped. Check these seams out. This is the seam between the darker and lighter brown fabric of the tent body. It's inverted. These are the vertical seams in the tent body, also inverted. This is the seam on the bottom of the angled window, also inverted. This is the seam of the back door, also inverted. Overall, I did not notice any leaking through these inverted seams except the one seam connecting the dark brown fabric of the tent body to the bathtub flooring, probably because this seam was exposed to the most amount of water during the rain test. As for the fabric of the main tent body, when the 1 hour mark was up, most of the tent body was still dry. The lighter brown fabric on the upper side of the tent was still dry. The bathtub flooring was also still dry. However, the darker brown fabric was slightly damp after being exposed to an hour of this moderate to heavy rain. Because I used a water hose and concentrated the rainfall on only the front of the tent, the sides of this WeatherMaster tent, like this side here, was put through more of light rainfall. In light rainfall, all the fabric was still dry, even the darker brown fabric of the tent body, though I did notice that the inverted seam of the bathtub flooring was leaking a little bit. So basically, if you're expecting any rain at all, even light rain, you'd need to seal this inverted seam here, which connects the dark brown fabric of the tent body to the bathtub flooring. And if you're expecting moderate to heavy rainfall, I recommend waterproofing the tent body as well. This WeatherMaster tent isn't the most waterproof tent that I have, despite the name, but it's not the worst either. It's not too bad, and I really enjoyed the ventilation through these angled windows for sure. For a full review on this Coleman WeatherMaster 10% tent, or if you need to learn how to set this up, check out these two videos right here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.